This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll be making a set of Freesia themed cupcakes. It's broken down into steps, so you can skip ahead, rewind, and rewatch as desired. We're going to start off making our colors by making some pink, and we won't need very much, so I've just got a little in my bowl down here. I'm using my American style buttercream. You can use whatever you like or works best for you. We're using the following liquid gel color shades: lemon yellow, violet, neon bright pink, and finally some royal blue. To start with for our pink, I'm just going to use a few small specks of that pink. And here we have our final shade of pink. You can see it's just a nice, light, soft color. If you want it to be a little bit more present, a little more intense, just add a few more specks of that pink. Next up, we're going to make a nice light shade of green. Won't need too much of that. We're just going to use a little bit of lemon and a little bit of that blue. And I'm thinking more lemon than blue. I want it to have that kind of springy feel. And you can see that gave us a nice light green shade. Next up, we're going to make a darker shade of green. It's not going to be really dark. We just want it to be more intense, so have more color than that light shade we made. Because when they're piped next to each other, we want to make sure that they stand out. I want to make more of a kind of true green, so think approximately equal amounts of blue and yellow. And here you can see we have a nice, almost like medium shade of leaf green. It's not too dark, but it's dark enough that it's going to pop next to that lighter shade we made. Next up, we're going to make some yellow. And for this, quite a bit more buttercream because we're going to use it to cover some of our cupcakes. And I just want to do a couple of specks of that lemon yellow. And you can see that gave us a nice, light, bright lemony shade. And our final color is going to be some purple. We're going to use this one to cover some cupcakes as well, so we just want a little more of that. And I'm going to give myself a couple of specks of purple. And here we have a nice shade of light purple. It's kind of like a light lavender. So if your first few specks didn't give you enough depth in that color, just add a few more until you get a nice light shade you like. We're going to use 7 bags for this cupcake project. You can see some of them have couplers and some of them don't. Our first bag is using a number 120 tip. We've loaded our pink in there along with some white, and we've done this nice little 2-color stripe. We've got a great video on bag striping that covers this load if you need to know how to do it. Our second bag has our light green in it, and we've got a little stripe of white going along there. We're using this with several tips, so we're using a coupler. The first is a 61. We'll also be using a number 12 and a number 6. We've got a coupler on our bag of medium green as well, and we'll be using number 352 and a number 4 with this color. We've split our yellow between 2 bags. The first one has a number 2 tip. The second, a number 806. We've done the same with our purple. The first bag using a number 59. And the second, an 808. We're going to use several techniques for the set of Freesia cupcakes. The first one is going to be dots for our centers. We're going to use number 12 for our regular size ones, and we're going to do a mini version where we'll use a number 2. These are just our regular dots that we're just going to extend up a tiny bit so they have a bit more height or volume. For our stamens, we'll be using a number 2 tip for all of our flowers, and we're just piping those kind of classic spikes. So think about piping a dot and then pulling up while you're still squeezing. And that'll give you nice little frilly stamens. For our petals, we're going to use 2 types. We're going to do our high arc when we're piping on our nail, and we're also going to do some teardrop petals while we're piping directly on our cupcake. We're going to use our 120 and our 59 to do those high arc petals. And we'll be using our number 61 when we're making our teardrop petals. For leaves, we'll be using a number 352. And we want to hold it just like always. Bag is at 45 degrees, 1 point touching. And for some of our leaves, we're going to pull straight up with it and make them nice and long and skinny. And for others, we're just going to do some small regular ones. We're going to use our number 4 tip with that medium green to make some stems. And we're just going to do regular lines. So think about touching, letting it drop into place, and making a nice, beautiful, clean line for yourself. And we're just going to pipe it in a little bit of a curve. We're also going to use some shells. We're going to use our number 6 with our lighter color of green and our number 4 with our medium green. Same as if you're using a star tip, touch, lift up, let that balloon out and roll over, and then down and away to make a nice point. We're going to do a nice little stem of freesias using our 2 greens and our yellow, and we're going to do it on a purple background so it's got some nice contrast. So we're doing a nice dot with that large tip, our 808. And if you need to know how to do that, we've got a great video on our cupcake styles for those basics that you can watch and review. But we're going to come in here, pipe a nice curved line with our 4, go in, make some little shells with that, and then we're going to do one with our green and switch to our 61 so we can make some petals. We're going to use that 2 with a yellow in there, and you can see I've used my green going the opposite direction just to make some sepals. We're going to get started on this cupcake design, and you see I've got that nice dot piped with my 808. I put mine in my fridge so just so it's firm, it's easier to work on that way. And I'm just going to start in with my number 4 tip and pipe a nice curve here. I want to leave a border at the top to do some work and make sure that my design shows. So just start on one side, go nice and slow with that line. If you get a break, don't worry about it. You can always touch it up and fix it up. Plus, we're putting a lot of details on this line too. So if it doesn't go perfectly, it's not a big deal. Our next step is going to be to use that number 4, and we're going to pipe 3 shells on this line. And we're going to start on this little end of our curve over here, pipe 1 directly on top of it, and then 2 more next to it. Give yourself just a little space between each one and try and make them meet up with that line. Next up, we've changed to our number 6 tip on our bag of light green. And we're going to put a slightly larger shell right next to the 3 we just did. We're going to come in the same bag, now using a 61 tip, and right next to that larger light green shell, we're going to pipe 2 teardrop petals. Don't worry if you bump into your line a little bit. That's perfectly fine. We're going to move down a little more, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to kind of space them out a little bit. So think about piping right on top of that line, getting 2 petals back there. We're going to switch for a moment to our bag with our number 2, and we're just going to pipe some stamens in this second flower. It's going to be a little larger, and we're going to do some more petals on top. So we just want to fill up that inside, give ourselves a little support and a little bit of that other color. And this is where it gets a little bit not challenging or tricky. You just have to think a little bit about your spatial reasoning. If I hold it the way I normally would, the tip is facing the wrong way because we're going like this and the petals are going to curve up. If I want them to curve down, I've got to turn it the other way and then rotate my cupcake. So now when I pull those teardrop petals towards myself, they're laying the right direction. So I'm just going to come in right on top of this base and pull my little teardrop shapes. If you run into your stem, don't worry, you can just remove it and pipe it again later. More important to get just beautiful petals laying on there for yourself. Now we're going to put in our finishing touches with our green. We're using our number 4. I'm just going to go ahead and fix my little stem where I knocked into it, so not a big deal. And now I'm going to do shells the other direction just to give myself the idea of little sepals here, anywhere I have that light green. Next up, we're going to be making a small Freesia cupcake. So you can see just a petite flower to top a nice plain tip swirl. If you haven't already, you want to get your cupcake ready with a nice little plain tip swirl using that 806. And then we're going to pipe our little Freesias on our nail using our number 2 with the yellow and that number 59 with our purple. I've got my bag with my number 2 tip and a small 2-inch flower nail with just a little bit of parchment secured on it. I'm going to hover above that nail, give myself a nice dot to work with, and then I'm going to just cover the top with little short spikes. They don't have to be tall and you don't need a lot. Next, I'm going to grab my bag with my 59 and my purple, and I'm just going to follow the same method I would to make a large freesia. I'm just going to start kind of right where those stamens meet my dot and pipe 3 petals using that high arc motion. The opening of the tip is facing towards 12 o'clock. Next up, I'm going to rotate the opening out so it's pointing out towards about 1. I'm going to start down at the bottom, pipe 3 more high arc petals, this time offset from the first. So kind of start in the gaps on the base of the frosting, and that'll give us a nice little petite mini freesia. We're going to finish our little mini Freesia cupcake design. So I've got my plain tip swirl cupcake. My bag of green has my 352, and I'm just going to give myself a tiny leaf there to help secure things. And then I've got my chilled flower. You can use a little spatula if you want to or need to, just to help lift it up and slide it into place. Get it on there on a cute little angle. And then if you need to or want to, you can always put in a second leaf to help secure things and give yourself a little extra pop of color for some nice contrast. Our third design features our regular sized freesias. We're doing them in that pink and white with those nice soft yellow centers. And then we're just using our green to help secure them to the top of our cupcake. And you can see it doesn't take a lot to fill that surface area. We can fit 3 in there easily and then fill around with the green for some nice contrast and a lot of detail. I'm going to start off with my bag that has my light green. And I'm going to do a dot with my number 12 tip and just make sure it's got a little extra height on it before finishing it off. Next up, I'm going to go in with my bag of yellow and my number 2. I'm going to start with 1 spike in the middle, and I'm just going to go all the way around it. And you can make them nice and long and frilly and floppy, but basically we just want to cover the top of that dot with nice little yellow stamens. Now it's time for petals. We're going to hold our bag at 45 degrees. The back end is kind of towards my right shoulder, so think at 430. And we're going to pull those high arc petals, and the opening of the tip is kind of pointing towards noon. This will allow them to kind of curve over a bit and sort of slightly enclose those little stamens, which now are acting as a support for those petals. So they're going to help keep them in place and keep them upright and keep them from kind of collapsing in on themselves. Our next set of petals, we're just going to take it and rotate so that the opening in the tip is pointing out a little bit. We're going to start in the gaps on the mound, so kind of in those high little places, and all the way down at the bottom, and we're going to pull up and do a second set of petals. The second set is going to kind of enclose the first set. They'll be offset, so it'll kind of cover up the gaps at the base where you could maybe see a little bit of green. And they'll be opened up just a little bit, giving that beautiful kind of classic characteristic look. I have my flowers ready and my bag of green ready. I've got my number 352 on my green, and the first thing I want to do is just give myself little dots on top. I want something to help secure my flowers and just help mark their placement. So that doesn't even really have to be leaves. It just has to be something for our beautiful flowers to stick to and help adhere them in place. And just take a moment, get those on there in a way that you like while it's still warm that buttercream on the bottom, you can adjust them. And since my flowers are nice and chilled, I can play with them a bit. So just make sure they kind of nest in right next to each other. And once you have that placement the way you like it, we can move on to piping some leaves. I've grabbed my bag with my 352, and I'm just going to start here in the middle and just pull leaves straight up. That's going to give me just a tiny touch of green in between my blossoms. It's also going to help anchor them. I just want to go around, pull nice, beautiful, straight leaves up anywhere you can see the surface of the cupcake. And they don't all have to be oriented kind of the same direction. If you can get them kind of so they feel like they're going different ways, that'll help give it a little bit more of a chaotic look, like somebody's grabbed a bunch of flowers. And I'll just go right along the edges, right up next to those flowers. And if they're nice and chilled still, this is going to be easy to do because you can pipe your leaves with your nice warm soft buttercream. And if your flowers are nice and chilled, then you're not going to be damaging them while you do this. So you don't have to worry about ruining any of that beautiful work you did on your flower nail. But that gives us a lovely look, like a beautiful little bunch of freesias. And here we have our lovely set of Freesia cupcakes. We've got some that are a little simpler and some that are a bit more of a challenge, but overall we've got a lovely soft pastel color palette that's great for spring or any kind of beautiful occasion like maybe Mother's Day, a bridal shower, a baby shower. It works for a lot of different things, and these freesias are pretty easy to pipe since it's really just one petal type.
We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It truly supports our channel and helps us share more in-depth cake decorating lessons. Want to level up your skills? Our yearly membership has certificate programs from beginner and up. Learn more at cakedecoratingschool.com.